G'day, this is Brian Medway, and I'm from Crosslink Network, Crosslink Christian Network Australia. And this is the last segment in a series of little video presentations, just to try and help give some understanding of what Crosslink is and how it works. And this one, as you can see, is talking about what we call apostolic connections. Now, we have some bits and pieces about this. This is one of them, and we call it Another 2 Yards, and that comes from an old movie called Chariots of Fire, which some of you may have seen. In this movie, there are two athletes. One is Eric Liddell, and the other is Harold Abrahams, and they are two very contrasted characters who both achieved gold medals in the 1924 Paris Olympics. Harold Abrahams was a British Jew, and he was a student at one of the universities, and he was a very driven guy. He was a very good athlete. Eric Liddell was a Scottish Highland football player, and but very fast, and was a person who was born to missionaries in China, born in China and died in China. But he also was a sprint runner. Now, the story about Abrahams is interesting because he tries and tries and tries to go harder and everything else, and it's really important to him for a whole bunch of reasons other than just doing his best. Little says about the way he runs. When I run, God's made me fast, and when I run, I feel His pleasure. And so he did the running thing to glorify God, whereas Abrahams was running because he needed to prove something to himself and others. That's not the moral of the story, but the thing about Abrahams is that he employed a coach when it wasn't really the done thing to employ a coach. But his coach was a man named Sam Museveni, and Museveni was actually a cycling coach, and he was quite a radical, pioneer of coaching. And so Abrahams goes to Museveni and he says, "Look, I just can't run any faster. No matter what I do, I can't run faster, and I don't run fast enough. So can you help me?" And Museveni wisely says to him, "Look, I'll come and watch you run, and if I think I can help you, I will." So the next time he runs, he's running against Eric Liddell in London, and maybe they're part of the trials for the Olympics, I'm not sure. But anyway, he runs against him, and Liddell beats him. And so he's very dejected and all that kind of stuff. And Abrahams comes to him and says, "Mr. Abrahams, I can get you another 2 yards." And so this is what happens. So Museveni works with Abrahams, and he takes his whole running style apart. In fact, it was a very radical theory in those times. The idea used to be that sprint running was about the length of your stride. The longer you could stride, the faster you would be. When in actual fact, Museveni found out that shorter strides meant that they could run faster. And so he just had to train and shorten his stride, which was very, very hard to do. But when he did, he ran and won the race, won the gold medal, and so forth. So that's why we call apostolic connections Another 2 Yards. And what that means is that there are people who are going to help us do better the things that we are called by God to do. And doing better means that we get further along the track towards the goal. Doing better means that we are more efficient in the way we do things, we have more of the favor of God, more of connection with God, more dependence on God, all those things. And there are certain people who have capacity to do that. When we're around them, we get more. I'm sure there are people that you can think of that when you listen to them or when you're with them, when they are speaking to you, about you, they say and do things that enable you to keep on running. They encourage you, they inform you, they can look at what you're doing and see how you can do it better. And so this is what apostolic ministry is. And regardless of whether apostles plant churches and whether they've got the most number of pips on their shoulder or got their car park designated in the this is really silly stuff. It isn't a hierarchy at all. It's actually just a function. It's a function. And so And so in Crosslink, we're looking for every church to build relationship with people where that relationship will add to the effectiveness of the ministry of the church. That's the deal. It's not just friends. We can have a lot of friends. I've got a lot of friends. They're not apostolic to me. See, I had a guy in my congregation once who was a good bloke, and he was very honest, open, cheeky kind of guy. And so he came into my office one day and he said, I've just been watching. I can't remember who the preacher was. He was watching on his laptop, watching a sermon. Anyway, I can't remember, and it's probably better that I can't. And he said, what? If I can watch these sermons from the greatest preachers in the world, why should I come and listen to you on Sunday? And I said, well, the question is not who's the greatest preacher. The question is who is apostolic to you? Because we're not talking about just listening to great preaching. We're not talking about reading great books. We're talking about becoming better servants of Jesus Christ, becoming better leaders, becoming better at relating, to others, becoming more godly, more whole as people. And we need coaches to help us do this. And we need coaches who are like fathers and mothers, who love us and understand us and believe in us. Now, I cannot tell you how important this is. And so we've tried to make this a key part. So every there's a Freudian throwback. Every Crosslink church needs to have apostolic connections. And so they have to be appointed by the church. Those people don't need to be Crosslink members themselves, but they do need to be people who are recognized for their capacity to help the church, and especially the leadership of the church, function in a godly and faithful way. And every Crosslink endorsed minister needs the same. They might be the same people or they might be different. And so what we've got in this article, this document here, is a whole bunch of things that talk about how this works. Someone would be apostolic to me if, and there's a whole bunch of things there. You can see this. And you can get a copy of this from our office. And it's part and parcel of what we do. And because of that, we have churches everywhere who are connected to people outside. These people don't have any legal standing in their church. They actually just have a recognized function, which is, by the way, a kingdom of God deal. You need to think about that. You need to work through documents like this and others so you can. You don't need to do this tomorrow. It doesn't need to happen in a moment. You just, over the years, you just need to develop these relationships and go after people who are going to help you do your job. Don't mind where you live, where your ministry is, and so forth. These days, that doesn't matter. It's the relationship and what flows through the relationship that is the really important thing. So apostolic connections is important to us. That's why that quote is there. If I've seen further than others, it is by standing upon the shoulders of giants. And we need people to be able to lift us up so that we can see what we need to see. And when we see what we need to see, we can do what we need to do. And we need the people to help us do that. In our case, in this connection, some of those people, the important ones, will be the people who are apostolic to us and to our church. God bless you.